This episode of Inside Golf Podcast is brought to you by Inside Sports Network.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Boston Capital Tour, Steve, on the Hold the Green podcast.
All right, we are live. Tap in, birdie.
All right, Carson Young is here.
I bet Ludwig at 28.
Let's go. I bet
You
him
did
at,
too?
I bet him at 25.
Low sevens. I think there's some guys in here we like.
Harris English at 7,300.
I love Brian Harmon at 3.5% this week.
What's up, guys? It's producer Cam here. ISN is now partnered with Shorty's Golf. Shorty's Golf is designed to provide kids with the perfect introduction to the game of golf by offering high-quality clubs and equipment specifically tailored to their need. They offer custom sizes for various age groups, ensuring that the kids have clubs that are tailored to their height and strength. They feature fun, vibrant colors and lightweight stand bags that are easily adjustable. Each set features real stainless steel clubs, high-quality materials, and sturdy construction, making them long-lasting while providing a real golf experience. So go check them out, golfshorties.com. Use ISN15 at checkout for $15 off your purchase.
All right, welcome in. Happy Memorial Day to my good pal, Kyle Hewitt. How we doing today, buddy? I know it was a fun weekend for you. The group chat was electric this week.
It was a good weekend. I always love Memorial Day weekend. Normally kick it off down the shore with kind of the same group of degenerates I've been hanging out with for close to 30 years of my life at this point. So saw a lot of family, saw a lot of friends, saw a lot of family friends. So all good stuff. I always say if you can't have fun down the Jersey Shore, I think there's something. It's a you problem, not a shore problem. So it was a good weekend for me. Had to cut it short. Get to some work stuff, and now we're here on Monday, ready to chop it up about the memorial. So,
are you back in Hoboken?
Back in Hoboken. Just watched the College Lax game. Had a
shout out Big Red, Big W for Cornell lacrosse.
Big dub for Big Red. Which I was happy. I had some shekels on the Big Red, and I love this tournament. Personally, the Memorial is one of my favorite. I think yours as well. Yeah. But favorite kind of non-major events of the year. It's like probably top 3 for me. So I'm really excited for this week. I think it's a great course. You jazzed it up in the preview show. I don't think you're the biggest Jack Nicklaus guy, but you tip your cap to him at this course. Yeah. This one is a great one. So yeah, just excited for the week, excited to chop it up here. How about you? How was Natalie's graduation? Shout out Natalie. Congratulations.
It was a wonderful weekend. We had all of her friends from not just childhood, but Hotchkiss. Her best friend is a neurosurgeon in Chicago. And so obviously, on a neurosurgeon schedule, it's not like she has the most flexibility.
Can't just step away.
Yeah, she can't just step away, but she flew from Chicago essentially after spending the entire night in the hospital. She flew from Chicago to surprise Natalie, and Natalie rarely gets to see her, obviously, because they both have crazy schedules working in the medical field. And so for her to come and surprise Natalie made the weekend that much better. So it was a beautiful weekend. Shout out to Natalie again for a majorly huge accomplishment. It was so great for her to be surrounded by all the people that love her the most. So we had a blast, and she's taken kind of the next steps in her life now. We're looking for a place together in LA. She signed an offer sheet to work at a great veterinary hospital in Hollywood. So kind of that next step for us is we're searching for a place, and the real estate market in LA right now is not easy. It's a bunch of people's houses burned down, right? So Like there's a lot. I feel like the demand for homes in LA is maybe a little bit higher than the supply at the moment. But yeah, I mean we can get to that stuff on another time. But yeah, wanted to put a bow on this weekend and give her one final shout out. I know she's in the chat, and we can turn the page to Memorial. Do you have any closing thoughts from Colonial? I found the tournament like I obviously I didn't get to watch much of it outside of Sunday. And Sunday was kind of a slog, to be honest with you. I mean, Ben Griffin did not make a birdie in his last 16 holes. I had some sweats coming down the stretch. I had some solid 6 of 6s, and it was like the most classic Ricky Cat shoots +7, Doug Gim shoots +3. You know, like it just, I had a bunch of guys that finished T25 and Scottie, and it ended up being a break-even week.
Yeah, I mean, I got shelled in DFS last week. I've been you know, I've had a decent outright year. I think I'm above water there, but for however much above water I am in the outright market is how exactly how much I am underwater in the DFS golf. But I'm hoping to kind of, you know, get some back this week. I didn't play that heavy last week. I normally play the $5, which is a crazy week, and I normally reserve it at the beginning, and I didn't. And then I looked Wednesday night, and it was all filled up. So I just played 4 in the 44. I played 2 lineups with Scottie, and I played 2 lineups without. And yeah, just not great lineups for me. So the tournament itself, I love the course. I mean, I think the course is a winner again, you know, which we don't always say on the PGA Tour. I think it's a testament to, you know, a course that's 7,100 yards and can still keep the score under minus, you know, winning score kind of in that -13 to -15 range, I think is really appealing. But, you know, Ben Griffin's been knocking for a while. You know, I thought he was going to choke it up again like he kind of has in the past, but really no one went out and grabbed it, which kind of helped him. But yeah, I mean, you know, good for him. He's a great, you know, player. I think he's been floating around the hoop for a while. But other than that, those are my overarching thoughts. Dug myself out of a little hole this week with a little bit of a, you know, kind of live bet on Angel Cabrera at the senior PGA. So that got me back in you know, good graces and ready to go for Memorial. But those are the overall thoughts on the weekend.
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable turning the page. I thought it was a good weekend to have some other stuff going on. It was like, whether it ended up being Scottie or Ben Griffin, I ended up taking Ben Griffin out of the pool at the 11th hour for Brian Harman. That was not the best decision, but had a top 20 on him, and kind of just a tread water week with nothing really special. Had some good calls, had some bad calls. Ultimately, guys just didn't perform the way I needed them to on Sunday, despite, you know, I hit a lot of my goals. Like I felt like the strategy of playing Scottie Scheffler with a very heavy low 7K approach worked. I mean, like I got 9 out of the 12 guys under 7.5K to make the cut, which is what I was absolutely hoping for. The problem was, you know, those guys like Doug Gim and Lee Hodges and Ricky Katz and all of those guys that made the cut for me, they just had pretty shitty weekends. And Scottie didn't really score enough in his own right at 50% to get you much if you have a T5 and then just I mean, Core, Grillo, and Rio were bright spots. Rio finished T6. That was a good call. Grillo finished top 20. That was a good call. Bez finished top 20. That was a good call, but nothing super crazy to write home about. Memorial, it's another signature event. We have a cut this week, though, Kyle. It's the top 50 in ties advancing to the weekend. And once again, we are looking at a 13.3 Scottie Scheffler. I got to be honest with you. I have a little Scottie fatigue when I was just waking up this morning to bet, I woke up and I was like, you know what? Fuck this, the without Scottie market. Like, I just don't want to do that this week. And I don't really have a good reason for not wanting to do it because, as I talked about on my Sunday pod, this is certainly one of the best golf courses on tour for Scottie Scheffler's skill set based on, I mean, it's the hardest approach golf course on tour, and Scottie's the best iron player on tour. So if you just, at a very elementary level, it's a perfect fit.
Yeah, I mean, I was not going to do this without Scottie stuff, but then I just kind of like I was like, the numbers FanDuel drop were good enough to the point where I was like, why would you not do it specifically at this golf course where in his last 3 starts, he's gained 7.5 strokes ball striking, 16.5 strokes ball striking, and 13.8 strokes ball striking, finishing third, and first. I just think he's fully back. Like I think the driver for him has been a little loose at times, but he still led the field. Like, you know, people were saying like, oh, the driver's gone, or, you know, whatever. Like he led the field in ball striking. So like, I think he's pretty good. Like, you know, with the off the tee stuff and with the irons, I just think he's the best iron player in the world right now, and I don't think it's really close. Even Rory, who's, you know, you could argue is in the same conversation as him right now. Absolutely, I don't think Rory's doing it with the irons. I mean, he's been a good iron player, but Scottie, in my mind, still better iron player. Not that you have to worry about it here. And then I think the one thing, like I'm lower on Mark. Like, I think we're aligned a lot of places in terms of, I listened to the preview pod and, you know, pretty much on the same page on a lot of things. The one thing I'm lower than market and slightly different than you is like, I just think Xander's a little, like, at least overpriced in DFS. Like, yeah, like I want him to be back, and he's showing signs that he's very close to being back, but he's like, I don't think he deserves to be $1,000 more than Colin Morikawa this week in DFS on this golf course specifically. So to me, it's like, I didn't play 100% Scottie this week. I'm gonna have a really hard time not playing, you know, 70% Scottie Scheffler this week. Like, he's just like this, always the scariest fade. And you can always talk yourself into, well, if he does this, like, you're that. But I don't know. Like, he's obviously it's to Scottie or to not Scottie this week, and I'm not taking him on in the outright market, so I'll probably have exposure to him in DFS. But
do you think the ownership is similar? Like, he came in exactly. That was a Vic. I got his ownership with the delta of 0 last week, 47.5. Do you think it's something similar? Like, do you think we're looking at 47.5% ish owned Scottie again this week? Like, if you played Scottie last week at 50%, you're probably like not walking away as an unsatisfied customer, right? Like, the winning lineups that I saw had Scottie in them. So all of the people that played Scottie last week at 50%, you could probably imagine that they're going back on a golf course that, you know, he's had even more success at than Colonial.
Yeah, I think I probably overthought. Like, there was lineups in the contest that I played in that I think the one that came in first actually didn't have Scottie in it. But I played in a little bit higher stakes than I normally do, again, because the $5. I wouldn't be shocked if in the $5 Scottie was still in it. Yeah, I just think he's probably 45 to 50. I don't think he gets like much higher than that, because I think there's better options this week. There's better pivots this week than there was in the field at wherever the fuck Charles Schwab last week. So I think that keeps the ownership, you know, kind of right where it was. Yes, Shorty says lower. I can see that. I still think it's, I don't like, 40, you know, 40 to 45 maybe, rather than 45 to 50 is my kind of early thoughts. He's still the #1 value play on Data Golf. He's got better course history than he does, you know, at Chucky
Anywhere,
Schwab.
basically. I mean, he's
Yeah.
had some of his best ball striking performances of his entire career at Memorial. I mean,
Yep.
this golf course is probably the toughest tee to green test on the PGA Tour.
Yep.
So in terms of being able to separate out elite approach play, there may not be a better golf course on tour for accentuating elite approach play. This is the hardest second shot golf course on the PGA Tour. So if you look historically at the players who have had so much success at Muirfield Village, I mean, Tiger's won here, 7 times. He's the best iron player in the history of golf. Scottie Scheffler, this is a golf course where Scottie Scheffler has been able to gain 10 plus strokes on approach. It's a golf course where Colin Morikawa has won at in the past. Like John Rahm is one of the best middle to long iron players of the last 5 years as well. So like this golf course, more so than any golf course on tour, should provide the easiest roadmap for Scottie Scheffler to separate with his irons. Like he is going to have to do something really, really wrong to not gain 5, 6, 7 strokes on approach this week. And if he's just starting out with 5, 6, 7 strokes on approach in a 70-man field, that's already a top 10. Like you're already gaining 7 strokes to the field. So it's just, I love the 8K range this week. Like, I think there are a lot of guys, and this is what ended up happening at like the Truist, where, you know, the mistake that I made on my outright card at the Truist was I overinvested at the top. Like I went all in on a Xander below 20-1. And the answer key was in that middle range, right? Like it ended up being a duel between Sepp Straka and Shane Lowry, who are both 40-1. And I think there are a lot of guys this week, Kyle, at that 40-1 price point that can win. Like, I think that range is really, really strong this week. Like, there's 6 or 7 guys in the 8K range that I like, and 6 or 7 guys above 30-1, but below 60-1 that I really like as an outright bet. And that is the only anti-Scottie case I can make, is that, like, if you wanted to build this super balanced 8K lineup where you play Fitz and Siwoo and Keegan and Berger and Henley and Lowry and all those guys in the 8K range, which I think is a very viable strategy, it's hard to play Scottie in those lineups.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I mean, I think that is, look, Scottie last week, you know, led the field in ball striking and the putter let him down. That, you know, this course again is a course that I think it's harder for your putter to let you down here just because of it being such a true tee to green test. So I think that just makes it that much more valuable for Scottie. I think I probably overthought the Scottie thing last week. And, you know, even though I played him in 50% of the line, like to me, maybe he's just a guy that I'm, you know, going to have exposure to, whether I match the field or, you know, come slightly under, slightly over. I'm just not. And I think you've talked about this, other people with, you know, that talk about golf have mentioned this, but like, obviously Rory's another scary name at the top of the board, but like right now in the golf world, like, are you terrified of Xander? I'm not saying, are you terrified of JT? Are you terrified of Colin? Are you terrified that's what just makes it so much tougher for me, is like when it was like Rory and Bryson at the PGA, I think it was a tougher decision. And guess what? The answer still ended up fucking being Scottie. But to me, I'm less scared of some of these guys at the top. And like, I think like what you said, I think if I do build Scottie, like I actually like dipping into like the 8s as like my second guy in and just kind of skipping that whole range. And then the other, like in my head, the other thing I was thinking is like, if I do non-Scottie lineups, like in my head, they look Colin Ludwig maybe as a start. Like, I just think those are both good buy low spots, maybe where there's some ownership off of them, just because of the way they're playing. But that's kind of how I'm seeing the board.
I felt pretty similar. Like, I just built one right now, Kyle, which would be my best version of like a fading Scottie lineup, which is Morikawa, Ludwig, Hovland, Siwoo. And then
Love that.
and then or you could even plug in Siwoo for Fitz or Keegan. I like both those guys a ton as well. But like these lineups where you essentially start with Morikawa, Ludwig, and then you can get 2 or 3 more guys in the 8K range, and then you finish off with like Ryan Fox, and suddenly you have a lineup where it is a cut, right? And so
Yeah.
generally in these signature events, there are 20 or 30 guys in the 6K range, and 20 of them are getting cut. Usually, historically, the vast majority of the guys who get cut in these events are the players in the 6K range. So I'm not trying to have more than 1 or 2 guys in the 6K range in any lineup. And you can still do that playing Scottie. You're basically just going to have to fall in love with the 7s above the 8s. And I wrote this in the chat, but like the most elementary way that I would describe the reason to fade Scottie is if you believe that the 8s are going to kick the 7s asses. But if you think that the 7s can be just as viable as the 8s, then you might as well play Scottie. I mean, that's the decision tree for me this week, is like, how much do I want to favor those 8s without Scottie versus just biting the bullet and playing Scottie and taking my chances on guys in the mid to low 7s.
Yeah, the only other thing I'd add is I do think it's also like the only other decision is like in my mind, like I don't think a Scottie I like, okay, let me just quickly, if you put Scottie and then you put next guy in, let's just say
Hovland or Fitz.
I was gonna say Cantlay. Like I was just gonna say, like, if you think like Ludwig, Tommy, Cantlay, Morikawa, JT, Xander, I'm not going with JT. I think I'm out on
I'm out on JT.
I think I'm out on Xander and JT this week. To me, it's like Colin, Cantlay, and Ludwig are the ones in the 9s I'm looking at.
Me too.
But
we're completely aligned.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say, just to, because I think it's a good thing. Like Scottie Cantlay leaves you 6-8. Like it's, if you think Cantlay or Morikawa or Ludwig can win this tournament, like you do want to probably jam the 9K guys, because I don't think the winning lineup this week, just from a constructions, the reason Scottie could have been in the winning lineup last week was because Ben Griffin was more in the mid-range price. He wasn't a guy who was upper 9s or 10Ks. You know what I mean? So it's, if you think, like, I don't think Xander, like if Xander wins, I don't think Scottie's in the winning lineup. If JT wins, I don't think Scottie's in the winning lineup. Morikawa, Cantlay, Ludwig was my point to say. So I also think, like, if you do think, Scottie isn't this layup, and look, nothing in golf is always is a certainty. Even when we're telling you that, it's a really tough fade, there's a million ways you can go about doing it. So I do think that's the other thing too, is like, do you think one of these, upper 9K, 10K guys can beat Scottie? If you do, I think you want to jam guys in the 9Ks personally. And if you don't, I think you want to go Scottie and then skip the 9Ks and 10K and 9Ks entirely and pepper that, 8K range is what I'm thinking.
That's what I would have asked you next, is like, if you had to rank the guy, because I actually think there's like some solid options at the bottom of the 9K range. Like I personally, I love Hideki this week. Like I'm heavily considered betting Hideki at 35-1. I think that's a rock solid number. I think about, if I am just talking about the 2 most important skills at Muirfield Village, it's being able to control your mid to long irons and short game, because it has one of the lowest greens in regulation percentages on the PGA Tour. And every single year, like, you can gain a significant advantage on this golf course by being able to scramble at a really high rate, because no matter how good of an iron player you are, you're going to miss greens on this golf course. There's just, the par 5s are too hard. Instead of hitting that green in 2 on a lot of the par 5s, you're going to be greenside and you're going to have to rely on your short game. You're going to miss the green sometimes on the long par 3s as well. And if you're telling me statistically, like, who has had the best short game on the PGA Tour over the last 6 months and who has had the best short game out of thick rough, it's Hideki. I mean, it's basically Hideki and JT. Like, Hideki and JT have that skill set at Memorial of great and Scottie, obviously. But it's basically Scottie, JT, and Hideki. And I think that you can get like an amazing discount on JT and get pretty much everything that you would want from JT with just as much upside with Hideki at 9K. So like he's potentially one of my favorite plays on the slate. And I'm considering betting him at 35-1.
I like it. It's
either him or Hovland. I don't know if I can fit both of them on my card anymore because I have 4 guys between 45 and 50, and I have to decide between Hovland at 35 and Hideki at 35. I know you went Hovland, but it's really close for me between those two.
Absolutely. And from a DFS standpoint, like if you're playing DFS week over week over week, like I just think Hideki is one of these guys you want to play in 20% of your fields. Like, because I think he just constantly is this guy, and we know the reasons why, because he's so volatile. But like he could miss the cut literally in this tournament with where 50 guys are making the cut, or he could win the tournament. And I feel like that's always like Hideki, and that's why I like him just as a DFS play, generally speaking. I don't think he's going to get a ton of ownership at 9K, and I do like what you're saying about him versus JT. I think JT's having a better year, but I do think JT and Hideki to me are both guys that can get loose with it off the tee a little bit, but then they're good like the rest of their games. So I totally get what you're saying with like a little bit of a discounted. I think Hideki probably is just as good as horse history, if not better here.
He won here in 2014. Like I think for me, like
JT's course history, I'm actually looking at it. Sorry for interrupting. It's like, I mean, he's a 4th and an 8th, but since the 8th, he's been cut 18th, 42nd, cut 33rd. Like not great. But the other guy I'm jumping around actually. If that's okay. Sorry.
Yeah, of course. I was going to basically, my next question anyway, and I jumped around with Hideki, but my next question anyway was going to be like, I want you to rank like more, like basically like 9 to mid 8s. Like who's your favorites in those range?
So the guy that I'm hoping is going to be a low owned, and I could always be wrong here, but bounce back spot is, I think another guy I'm trying to fit in the pool is Set.
Yeah.
I think he had one bad week. I think everything else from him this year has been so good with the irons. I think he's only played here once, and he has a 5th place.
He's played here 4 times, and he has 2 top 20, or he's played here 6 times, 3 top 20 finishes, including a 16th and a 5th in his last 2 appearances. So you're right. He finished 5th last year, and he's been good. I mean, again, if we are talking about like a golf course where you can separate on approach, Sepp has been a top 5 approach player on the PGA Tour this year, bar none.
Yeah, that was my thought process. And another, you said this as well in the preview. It's like total driving. I think Sepp's a great total driver of the golf ball. He's going to hit a lot of fairways, and he can let his irons do the talking here. This is probably the best version of Sepp we've ever seen. Like he hasn't been this good coming to this course, and he's such a good ball striker right now. To your point, I really think he could, separate himself here. So he's the other guy in the upper 8s that's, like I like to say is looking at me a little funny. So I'm definitely going to try to get him in the pool. Like Lowry makes sense to me. Berger makes sense to me. I just can't play like Hovland. I think I'll probably play, but if I'm playing Scottie, it's like even Scottie Hovland, it's not the greatest like looking lineup. I almost like a Scottie like Fitz or really dipping down and being really balanced with Scottie, but I'd probably go Scottie Hovland or Scottie Straka, or if I don't do that, Scottie Fitz. Fitz is the other guy in the AKs. I know he's been terrible. I know it's only been 2 good starts, but his history here is great. And the
5th and a 9th in his last 2 appearances here. I mean, he's got one of the best short games when he's on in the world.
And the irons are like back.
They're back.
Maybe not fully back, but back to back. Really, probably his 2 best iron starts in the past. 6 months, if I had to guess with with how he's been, and he's just a guy I like on like courses that I think are gonna play tougher. He's a guy I like on courses like that. So I'm willing to buy, him at 8K. And then Keegan and Finau.
I don't know why Keegan's been so bad here, because this is the type of golf course that I would think Keegan would absolutely fucking love. Like Northeast, or it's not really in the Northeast, it's the Midwest, but it has that Northeastern aesthetic. You need to be a great middle to long iron player. You need to pound fairways. It's a like tried and true ball striking test. You need to hit the ball high. It's a great week for apex height. Like all this stuff is Keegan's music.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. He could be a guy I would look at here. And another thing that's interesting with Keegan this year is, like last year or 2 years ago, he really became a really great putter, I think. Like he was putting really well for a long period of time. And Keegan's never been like a great putter, at least for that extended period of time. His putter lately has been murdering him, like killing him. And I do think, I totally agree that this is like a course that he should play well at, but hasn't necessarily played well at. It's a cool, like he's hitting, if you look at his ball striking the past 3 starts, in the 18th at Heritage, the 30th at Troyes, and the 8th at the PGA, ball striking's been insane, and the putter's just letting him down. So maybe, coming to a course where he can let the ball striking do the talking, and he can get away with some poor putting is a good kind of combination. At 8K, you're not asking him to win the tournament either. So those are kind of the guys I'm looking at here. I do like your Finau sell. I'm worried he might be a little chalky, but
I think a bunch of fish are going to hop on Finau this week, and if he ends up being the guy based on ownership that I need to cut, I'm totally fine with that, because I just think this 8K range is fire. Like right now I have 7 guys in the 8K range, and like I just built an all 8K range lineup where it's Finau, Siwoo, Keegan, Fitz, Hovland, Berger. Like all of those guys can finish top 10.
Yeah,
in my opinion. And so I agree with you, Finau. But I mean, who do you think of, if you just looked at the 8K range, who do you think's the most popular in the 8K range? Because, like, for example, I think you'll get a little bit of a flop lag on Berger. Like, I think if you loved Berger last week, I'm going right back to Berger. I think you're going to get a huge ownership discount on him. And it's still a golf course that he's played well at in the past, where he needs to pound fairways. Like, who's the most? I think projections are going to love Siwoo Kim.
They do.
And I love Siwoo Kim also. I bet Siwoo Kim at 45-1. He's got 5 top 20 finishes in a row here. I love the way he's playing, but probably, I guess Connors is in the 9K range. Connors is like 18% every week. But it seems like, to me, it seems pretty balanced to me. Like, I actually even think like Sungjae, you can get a nice discount on too.
It's going to be, I do see the 8K similarly. I think back to what we were like, Connors, maybe he models out well, but I'd rather dip down to a guy in the low 8s. Like Sungjae to me is like a poor man's Connors.
Yeah.
Like what you were saying with JT and Decky, I think you can do with some of the guys in the 9K range. I mean, even Spieth has great history.
He does.
Siwoo, I didn't even mention, he's playing unbelievable. So it's going to be interesting to see how guys build. Maybe as Shorty was saying before, the ownership at Scottie is the more I look at it, the more I think maybe it is closer to 40. I don't think he's pushing 50 this week like he was last week, because I do think the 8s there's a lot of good options in the 8s. The more I look at this and the more we talk about it. So
I think, to answer Timothy's question, I think particularly us talking about him on this show, like, the secret's out on Fitz. I don't think he's going to be like chalk, but I think he will be moderately owned. Like, if I had to make a guess on Fitz, what would you set the over under? Like 12.5, 13% in a signature field?
Yeah, I was going to say 11, but where you're saying it's smaller field, so it's hard to tell right now. The what I'm looking at, like sims and models, early stages here. I haven't kind of tweaked everything I like to look at, but they're not loving Fitz as much as they're loving Keegan, Siwoo, Berger, and Lowry.
Siwoo and Connors, I think, and Fleetwood for that matter. There's just no holes in what they're doing right now. Like, it's a good golf course for all of them. All of those players have been absolutely flushing it tee to green, and this is a golf course where you want to play tee to green guys over all else. So like Siwoo Kim, Corey Connors, Tommy Fleetwood, all of those guys should be around 15%.
Yeah,
I would guess. Connors is 18% every single week.
Yeah, he's going to get ownership this week. It's a perfect course for him.
Yeah. And I get it. I almost considered betting Corey Connors, and maybe I end up doing that. Like, I wish the number was a little bit higher. Like, I think that in terms of win equity, there's not a lot separating Daniel Berger and Corey Connors. So why is Daniel Berger 45-1 and Corey Connors 30-1? Connors is down to 28 in some spots, and I guess that's just like sharp buck production. I mean, Data Golf has him at value basically at 33-1. So they're not going to hang a 40 on Corey Connors this week. Those days are gone. But like, I would think that this would be the perfect breakout spot for someone like Connors. And Memorial has been a breakout spot in the past for players like this. Like, this has been an event that like elite flushers of the golf ball like Hideki and Bryson go on to win and take the next step, because it accentuates tee to green play so aggressively, and you don't need to be a good putter at all.
Yeah, I mean, he's gained ball striking significantly. Ball striking.
Did you see his numbers from the PGA too? He was like +4 approach, +4 off the tee.
Yeah, I mean, and normally a guy whose putter is what lets him down. He's gained putting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the last 9. Normally a guy who's around the green can let him down. He's gained 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the last 9 around the green. He's really been a complete player this year. It reminds me of the Henley stuff. Like, I do think you get the ball to the hoop enough times. You do bang on the door enough times, it does eventually break down. Even Ben Griffin, right? Like, a guy who's just totally gutless. No disrespect to him too. He's a great player, but he's time and time again kind of pissed down his leg a little bit in contention. He was there so many times. He finally got it done. So I don't hate it in that regard. He makes a lot of sense, but I feel like he makes a lot of sense a lot of weeks, and he gets like a T8, and I'm not anti. I'm not going to get there in DFS. It just feels like too much for me in DFS at 9.1.
I agree.
When you can get Ludwig for 9.3 and Decky for 9.
And I think Ludwig and Decky will be demonstrably less owned than Connors, if not half the ownership of Connors.
Yeah, so that's the way I see the top of the board. If you want to quickly
I wanted to ask you about sevens, because I felt like we've already spent enough time in the eights, and this basically ties into Golf Tipper's question. Why is Rye's number getting pounded? It's that accuracy off the tee, man. Like, Rye is always going to be a model darling for Data Golf at any golf course where pounding fairways is of significance. And at Muirfield Village, like, pounding fairways at an elite rate matters. Like, you can gain a significant edge. I don't think that pounding fairways at Muirfield Village is as important as overall approach play or even necessarily short game. But like, Rye just straight up is the most accurate driver of the ball in this field. Like, I have him number 1 in my accuracy off the tee model, and any golf course where you can gain a significant advantage from being in the fairway, you're going to get Aaron Rye. I mean, I don't feel a strong need to bet Aaron Rye this week. Like, I like him on this golf course a lot, but like, if he's over 15%, I think there's other guys in the mid to low 7s that you can go to.
Yeah, I do think one thing that's weird with Rye is I do think he plays like Jack Nicklaus course as well. Don't ask me. Like, I think he played Valhalla really well last year. Kind of has that shot shape that I think fits this golf course as well. It's all of that being said, two things. There's a couple guys that Data Golf always says is plus EV, like every fucking week. Just like if you run a model like that's heavy on approach, it's going to spit out certain guys every week more so than it does other guys. And you're like, wow, this guy kind of like fucking sucks. Why is he like popping in my model? Similarly, like Brian Campbell every fucking week. No disrespect to Brian Campbell, great guy. He's been the most plus EV bet on Data Golf like the past 4 or 5 fucking weeks. Like, because he's like 900 to 1 and he hits his irons really well. Like, so I don't know. Rye is the same. Rye is obviously a level above Campbell from a player perspective. His numbers have looked really good. It is a good course fit, but just I always like say like be careful with some of these guys who quote unquote pop when like every week they pop, and like there's certain reasons why some guys are always popping and not really giving.
Yeah, and Rye has had 1 top 10 all season. I was on him for it at
I will say 3. Well, I guess one of them Zurich, but 3 top 25s in his last 4. It does look like he's hitting the ball a little better.
He's playing well. Yeah.
I get it this week. I'm gonna go elsewhere, but it's more so like even Andy Novak, who I bet this week, he's another guy who Data Golf always has him at plus EV, and he's just another guy who hits a lot of fairways, hits a lot of greens. Great.
But Novak contends. Novak contends a lot, and I think I'm lower on Novak than you are this week. It feels like, well, you're not really selling high because I actually think he's priced quite fairly. Like I thought Novak was going to be like 7,500 this week and they put him at 71. The lack of course history does scare me. Like it's been over a decade where we've had a first time. Ludwig finished top 5 last year.
Probably slightly different classes of players, though.
True. It's generally a golf course where it's pretty difficult to show up on your first appearance and perform here consistently. But like the bottom 7s for me, I'll just give you the guys that I like. But I'm going back to Adam Scott. I just think that he has phenomenal course history here. We saw signs of life from him at the PGA Championship where he drove the ball at a really outstanding level. And I think on this golf course, like 2 of the guys that impressed me the most from Quail Hollow that are now taking that to Muirfield Village and have played well at Muirfield in the past, like Adam Scott and Alex Noren. And I don't know if I'm overvaluing too much their PGA performance. Like if it turns out that Adam Scott and Alex Noren are like chalky in this range and the market is really seeming to overvalue their PGA performance, then I will pivot to like Wyndham Clark and Taylor Pendrith. But like, I really liked what I saw from Adam Scott and Alex Noren at the PGA. And I think both of them can do it on this golf course, particularly Noren's short game on this golf course. Like I think will pay big time dividends. So for me in the bottom 7s, it's Noren, Scott, Pendy, and Wendy is my sleeper.
Yep. The guy I'm making a decision up top is Burns. I know Burns's irons have not been great, but he might be the best putter and putting the best out of anybody else in the world right now. He gained 1.83 at the PGA. He gained 1.52 at Troyes. He gained 1.98. This is per round at the CJ Cup, and he gained 0.92. So the off the tee stuff appears to be back with him. Might be willing to play him. I'm kind of up in the air on that one. McIntyre is looking at me interestingly. I think this is a good Maverick McNeely course.
I could see that.
I could see him mixing here. So he's a guy I'm looking at. I'm not going to play Rye. I get it. I'm not going to play Spawn. I get it. I'm probably not going to play Novak in DFS. I think he's going to be really highly owned, but I get it. I bet him outright. I do think while there's a lack of course history, and not that I think it's a good, in theory, good course design for him. So we'll see about him, but I like Akshay a lot. Again, at 7.3, this is another course I could see him.
What happened to him over the weekend at Colonial? I didn't play him last week, but like he just fucking.
Yeah, he kind of melted. He finished 22nd. He
a lot of people did though.
Yeah, he gained in 3 of the 4, major categories. I just think he's better than a lot of these guys around him at the moment. Like, I still think he's a better player than Ben Griffin. Like, I don't think Ben Griffin should be $500 more expensive. I don't think Denny should be 600, even though Denny has really good course history here. But yeah, those are kind of the guys. And then other guy I'm contemplating at the bottom of the sevens is Davis Thompson. I know he's kind of lost it a little bit, but
He boned me last week, dude.
I don't know. Actually, I'm looking
And
at
he
it.
was $100 more expensive than Griffin. And I was like staring at Griffin or DT all week. And I went with DT and it murdered my entire week. I hear ya. I love DT just like the next guy. He's just hard to trust, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree. So maybe I'm not going to play DT and I'll just play somebody else in the sixes. Those were just kind of some names I'm looking at. I guess Pendrith as well is kind of interesting.
I like Pendrith. I worry about his short game on this golf course, but like
I worry about his short game every single week.
Yeah. But like obviously once you get into the low sevens, you're not going to have a perfect case on all of these guys. And like I love Wyndham this week as like a sneaky leverage play that I believe is going to be under 5% because I think he gives you that Pendrith skill set with a better short game. Like he basically has like that upside off the tee where you look at his numbers when you filter out long golf courses with thick rough. Wyndham's top 5 in this field, and that's basically pretty hard to find in the low 7K range, and he's chipping the ball really well. Yeah. When was the last time Wendy had a top 20, though? It's been a while. That's why he's 7.2K and his sleeper at 5%. But I think the long-term skill set can work at this course. He finished 12th here in 2023 as well. He's won at Quail Hollow, won at LACC.
I like I like what you said about Noren. It could be behind Noren. One other thing I was just going to say about Pendrith, correct, terrible short game. Last start at the PGA, the last start he played in, he finished 5th. Best finish at a major, another course that was, long golf course, heavy rough penalty. He gained in all 4 major categories, including around the green, which he's gained in his last 2 starts. Previous to that, he had lost around the green in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight starts. So maybe there's some something there with Pendrith, but. Yeah, I don't know. I just think there's like the guys in the 7Ks. We always say this. It's like they're always going to be something. That's like, this guy could get killed.
Yeah,
for Pendrith, it's around the green, right?
Around the green.
I do think the ball striking could carry him to a top 20 finish here.
Let's finish up with the sixes. I don't have too many guys down here, but you lead us off first. Who are don't give away all the good ones for the Wednesday stream, but just maybe a preview of like your favorite 2 to 3 names.
Yeah, I mean, the guy that's probably going to be the most owned, and it's hard not to like, but I probably won't play, but worth mentioning is your boy Bud Colley. I mean, he's ripping the cover off the ball right now.
I know. I don't know what to do there. Like if Bud Colley is 10 to 14%, that feels like you think more. That feels like
I think that's a great get. I think that's where he's going to be. I think he's going to be. He's the highest out of the guys on Data Golf. And again, I haven't looked at everything yet. I normally just start with Data Golf to gauge it. He's rating out, the best. Him and Michael.
He's the best value. I like Michael Kim this week, and I'm not a Michael Kim guy, but like his driver on this golf course and his long iron numbers are intriguing to me.
Yeah, I think 2 guys down here that interests me. One I think you'll like. One I don't think you'll like. Gracerman, who's gained on approach, normally not a good approach player, in his last 2 starts, 33rd at the PGA and a 22nd at the Charles Schwab. Absolutely murders the ball. It's, again, similar to like, what's his one thing we worry about? To me, it's the approach. And this is a course where, you need to be a good approach player. Do like that he's a better longer iron player is what I've noticed. And I do think this is a course where there'll be more emphasis on hitting longer irons. So I just think at that price, he could be a guy that, outscores his position. He makes a fuck ton of birdies, which I like at 6.7K. So he's definitely interesting to me this week. Who was the other 2? The other 2 guys, Stevens is, I think, a guy you'll like as well. I just think
I was looking at him.
I think you want him on these courses that play a little tougher too.
And longer. Yep, agreed.
And longer. So 66, I think you can do worse than him. And then the other guy I'm curious to see what happens is why not go back to Matty Schmidt, who's got 3 top 10s in his last 4 starts.
Yeah.
And he's cheap as fuck, like
6,400.
6,400.
Wait, but do you like Schmidt or Fox better? Because I think Fox and Schmidt somewhat do similar things, and I think I trust Fox a little bit more.
Yeah, I think both are like good plays. I'm curious to see what both of their ownership's at. Neither of these guys are like breaking what I'm looking at, which for what we're, like I like. I'm hoping they stay more under the radar. Both of them have great form. You never really know with these sorts of guys. I think I think what I would say about the two is I think Fox all around is probably a better player. I think Schmidt's probably a better driver of the ball, like is how I look at the two. But Fox is a great iron player. Both guys, what I like though, like normally what lets both of them down is their putters. And again, this is a course where
you don't need that as much.
And Matty Schmidt was the greatest putter of all time last week, literally. Yeah, just kind of a form play with Matty Schmidt. Even Fox, that's a good sell on Fox. I mean, he's got a first and then a 28th at the PGA, and he gained everywhere but with the putter at the PGA, and he gained in all 4 major categories at Myrtle when he won. So,
yeah,
I like it.
I think the only guy I would add to wrap up here is that I think that, Justin Rose almost won the Masters and then has been fucking horrible in his next 3 starts. I think you can go back to Justin Rose here. I think it's a time to buy back in on him at, these long and difficult golf courses where, he's a former winner at Memorial. He's got a ton of great course history here. He's got 7 top 20 finishes and 15 appearances at the Memorial. I do think that now at 6,900, you're able to buy back in at a price on Rose where the stakes are quite low. Like you can take a risk on Rose, have him be the last man in your lineup. And it's the type of guy, as we've seen before, that could like fuck around and win the event,
Absolutely.
So I like Rose at 6'9", and that'd be the only other guy I'd add in the 6s.
Yeah, I was going to say one more guy just because I popped open his data golf page. I was just thinking about like other guys who are absolute flushers, who don't get in much trouble, who aren't good putters. Glover, who is coming off of a 37th who's kind of had an up and down season. 37th at the PGA where he gained on approach, gained around the green, lost with the putter, and then a 22nd at the Charles Schwab where he gained in all with approach around the green and putter. Guy that can just fairway and green a depth to course to death. What was I just looking at? His price was 65. So there's some options down here, I think, in the 6s. So.
All right, Kyle, that'll do it for us on this Memorial Day. I hope you guys enjoyed our little slate breakdown. If you want more of our thoughts throughout the week, as well as the best ownership in the industry, head on over to InsideSportsNetwork.com. It is a great time to sign up now because if you sign up for the month, you get all the way through the U.S. Open. U.S. Open right around the corner. We have a 25% off discount code right now as well, Garros month and Garros week, to celebrate Rishi's foray into tennis. So if you're signing up, don't forget to use that discount code. And thanks for joining me, Kyle. I'll see you again. I'll see you again on Wednesday.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.